If you notice, on the mall, 95% of those who were present were...
I'm not going to denigrate the... Let's go to Darfur. If you notice, on the mall, 95% of those who were present were Caucasian. I'm not going to denigrate their sensitivity to suffering. But the reason that blacks were not there is because the blacks who could make something happen were never invited. It's not that black people don't care about Darfur, but Darfur, on the scale of suffering in the world, pales. Because now I heard there were 180,000 dead, from that to 400,000. Okay? 2 million displaced. But in the Democratic Republic of the Congo, 3.5 million have died. No talk. In northern Uganda, with the Lord's Resistance Army and the walking at night for the children trying to run away so that they would not be kidnapped and made to fight against the government in Kampala. No talk. Why Sudan? For the last 15 years, Sudan has been on the agenda for regime change. Regime change because Sudan housed Palestinian resistance fighters. Sudan housed Osama bin Laden and put him out. But Sudan is an Islamist regime that is against the state of Israel. Now let's stop there for a moment. See? Now they said, well, these are some Arabs in the Sudan enslaving Africans. So naturally, this is the language of Arabs enslaving Africans. This is so clever, and the media pushes that so that there would come a natural hatred of blacks for Arabs, so that Arabs look like the real culprits here. Well, you don't know this, but I and my national, international representative, Akbar Muhammad, who's in the studio with me, who I want to speak on this in just a few moments, he and I were together on a peace mission. Listen to me carefully now. How many years ago was that, Brother Akbar? Over 10 years ago, wasn't it?
1994.
1994, 12 years ago. Now, I went to Ghana and spoke with then President Jerry John Rawlings. And
okay, good evening everyone, good evening colleagues, good evening African people. I would like to start in this podium, and I'm still continuing about the Sudan crisis. But let me start by extending my condolences to all people who have died in a current war in Sudan. And also my condolences to all people who have died from Sudanese army fighting for the sake of their country and protecting the civilian. And also my condolences to all those who have died innocently in a current war. And also greetings to all freedom fighters, revolutionaries, and also my greeting to Professor Lumumba, PLO, and greetings to all political activists. Today, everyone should take a deep breath and come closer to discover a hidden stories of Sudan. So, I would like to wait a bit until people chew in then we start. Because I'm not seeing more viewers. They're only like 3. But I think I should continue, because there is no enough time, and the message will reach out. For those who are concerning, they will reach out them later. Anyway, as you all are aware, previously I've talked about the big scheme and the plan, conspiracy of occupying Sudan, to colonize Sudan. The current war in Sudan is not just simple war. It's not just a war between 2 generals, as very many people think. This is not a war between 2 generals, please. Whoever have that kind of mentality, please, you have to clear what is in your mind. People are dying, seriously. Thousands of people, more especially Al Jinena, Western Darfur. 5,000 people have died within 2 months. 5,000 people, and 8,000 people who are injured in Al Jinena. It's just in one state. Can you imagine? Well, this big number of the people have died just in 2 months, and you are there describing the war is just between 2 generals. This war between the Sudanese people and rapid support forces. We have to put things clearly. And as I have said in my opening remarks, you should take a deep breath, because today I'm going to give you the full history of Sudan and Sudanese army. Because I have been talking, you see, the last tweet I've been talking in Arabic, because I was sending a very clear message to Sudanese people who are there in Sudan. And today, I would like to speak in English so that my fellow African, the neighboring countries, the whole world, to understand what is actually taking place in Sudan. We have to deal with it as a broader conspiracy. Huge countries have their aspiration to occupy Sudan. To export natural resources and minerals. As you all are aware, Sudan is very, rich in terms of resources and minerals, and a massive land. Sudan is the second biggest, country, the third biggest countries in Africa. The third biggest country in Africa. It is quite huge, very big one. So there are very many countries are aspiring to get land. Every country should take a small part of Sudan, and that shouldn't happen. And this, war currently in Sudan, as I've said, these big countries are using these rapid support forces. They call them Damasari, or rapid support forces, paramilitary rapid support forces. Some they are militias anyway. They are coming from several different countries, and these big, countries are using, these rapid support forces to achieve what they want. So, and also I would like to talk about the summit in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia, yesterday. There was a summit. There was a conference in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia. I want to talk about it a little bit also. But before I enter into this topic, let me give you a little background of Sudan and of these rapid support forces and Sudanese armed forces. In Sudan we have black people and Arab people. The indigenous Sudanese people, we, the black, were indigenous in Sudan. These Arab have come through Islamic religion. They were supplying, Islam into Africa. When they came to Sudan, they found Sudan is a very, massive country, a very big land. So they stay in Sudan. They remain in Sudan. They didn't go back. You see? And this is the cause of all crisis in Sudan. This issue of religion is the one creating all this crisis currently. Because the country is controlled by Islamic rules. And yet we have different religions. We have Christians in Sudan. So when you provide a country with Islamic rules, actually then you are not respecting the other people. You are not respecting Christians. So let me tell you the history of Sudanese armed forces. Sudanese armed forces has been there for over 100 years. But they create this before these rapid support forces, Sudanese armed forces, they were fighting southern Sudanese in the name of religion. They were killing southern Sudanese innocently. By the name of religion. They are saying they are not Muslims, so we should kill. Who gave you the mandate to kill someone? Who are you? And all these religions are coming from the God. And everyone knows in this world there is only one God. And these four religions are coming directly from the God. So it depends on which religion you follow. The Sudanese armed forces, they were, as I've said, they were killing Southern Sudanese in the name of religion. They killed them innocently. They killed over 2 million people until they get their independence. Sudanese armed forces are criminals. After Southern Sudanese get their independence, then they start fighting us, Darfurian. Because they are Arab, They are coming, from these Arab countries of Middle East. When they came to Sudan, and as you all aware, we black, sometimes we seem to be, too much generous. This sense of generosity is not that good. Whoever comes from elsewhere, we just leave him, to stay with us. We even leave alone staying with us. We can even, make him to be a leader, to rule us. And this is the tragic, So, as I've said, the history of these Sudanese armed forces, it is very dirty. After they finished the war in South Sudan, then they turned against us in Darfur there. Let me tell you why Sudanese armed forces created these militias of rapid support forces. Is to fight and kill us, Darfurian. My message is to all African leaders and African people. You should be aware of this fact. You must know this. Who created these rapid support forces? Sudanese army is the one created rapid support forces to fight Darfurian rebels. As you know, we have rebels. We, as a Darfurian, we have rebels. And the reason why, we are rebels is that this Sudanese army, the institution of Sudanese army, oppressed us for a very long time. They couldn't give us our right for a very long time. We could not share the authority. And yet, all of us were Sudanese. And there is history. Also, you must know, Darfur, Al-Jinena, they were also countries. Darfur was a country. Al-Jinena alone was also a country. But in 1910, you see, these are very small countries, so they have decided, to join Sudan, to be one country. So that's why this institution of rapid support forces, of military Sudanese army, is fighting these people, Darfurian. They were fighting us. Until this time, as I'm talking, they are still fighting us. Can you imagine? Can you imagine? It's one country. We hold one, passport. So, as I've said, they have created these rapid support forces to fight these rebels in Darfur. Who created? The institution of Sudanese army. Al-Burhan, Mr. President of Sudan himself, is connecting with these guys of rapid support forces. And that is the only reason that is intensifying the war in Sudan currently. Because Al-Burhan himself does not want these rapid support forces to be destroyed, to be killed. He did not. He did not want these guys to be, disrupted. That's why Al-Burhan is dealing, with this current war, is very, very, very slow. So this is another story. Let me continue into my story so that everything should be clear. And I'm talking this because of African leaders who are gathering in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia, and previously in Djibouti. They are gathering, discussing, to get a proper way of ending the current situation in Sudan. And they have forgotten one thing. Not even one thing, several things they have forgotten to discuss about. They have forgotten Darfur. They have forgotten Al-Burhan himself. Is dealing with this guy of Rapid Support Forces. Because he's the one created them. He's the one brought them into power, into Khartoum, and today they turned against him. You see. So, whenever you're greedy, then you should wait for the burdened. If you have this sense of being greedy, you want to kill the foreign people, then the burden should turn against you, as it has happened today to Al-Burhan. So these guys, after they came to Khartoum, they found Khartoum is a very nice, place with big, buildings. In Darfur there, people are just suffering, no water, no power, no good, buildings. So they have decided to remain in Khartoum and to fight the Sudanese army to take over the power. So this is the whole story. This is the entire story of this Sudanese army and Rapid Support Forces. So for those who are gathering, running from country to country, to solve Sudan's crisis, I think you should first go back and study the history of Sudan and the history of Sudanese army and these Rapid Support Forces. Because in first place, who created these Rapid Support Forces? It's the Sudanese army, right? So, who is to blame? It's Sudanese army, isn't it? So, well, this is the background of Sudanese army and Rapid Support Forces. So, as I've said, Sudanese army created these Rapid Support Forces to fight Darfurian people because of the land, because of the rich land, and to make country to be only for Arab. They want to displace black people, the indigenous people, and then Arab people should stay alone. They bring their people from Middle East, from other different countries, Western African countries, to make it Sudan for Arab. This is the plan and scheme which is ongoing. You must know this. African people, African leaders, the whole world, you must know this. This is not just a simple war, I'm telling you. It is broader, global, conspiracy. Everyone is against Sudan today. Why all this? Whoever is claiming to be a mediator, when he comes, the first thing he or she should do is to blame the both sides. So, these Rapid Support Forces are militias. They are not legal Sudanese army. They are militias. They are coming from several different countries. Even some Russian, Wagner. They included these guys. Even some people from Middle East, from United States of Arab Emirates, They are there. They are fighting Sudanese army. And they are not just fighting Sudanese army, they are fighting Sudanese people. They want to take their land, as it has happened in Al Jinena. Al Jinena today is completely disrupted. As you have all seen, all people, the foreign people of Al Jinena migrated into Chad. And these rapid support forces, they're there in Al Jinena, you know, they're there in Al Jinena, residing in these, indigenous, houses, of these indigenous people houses in Al Jinena. And some, if they see a very nice house, they just break it. Because they have something bad in their hearts. And they don't want to see indigenous people in Al Jinena once again. So, as I've said, even my title of this video is that the war in Sudan is actually intensifying into a very dangerous level. Okay? The reason why I'm saying this, Al-Burhan himself, he wanted to chase these guys from Khartoum to take them to Darfur. You know, when they go to Darfur, because we don't have all these, big, big weapons, the islands, big ones, we don't have it there. We don't have this kind of aircraft, airline forces in Darfur. They are not there. So when they go to Darfur, it's very easy for them to conquer Darfur. When they conquer Darfur and occupy it, so there is a big player who is going to intervene, which is US. UN Security Council, the US, after these guys conquer Darfur, then they are saying that actually they will say Darfur is in a very dangerous situation, so we must intervene in order to get solution for Darfurian people, which is called Agenda 7. We don't want Agenda 7 in Darfur. We don't want any soldiers from outside. We don't want US soldiers, Russian soldiers, French soldiers. We don't want them. We are also soldiers. We can defend our country. The only thing that makes us weak as a Darfurian is that all these two groups, Sudanese Army and Rapid Support Forces, all of them are targeting us. They're attacking us. These are two groups. They are well armed. And for us with simple guns, how can we manage them? This is about Darfur. I don't want anyone, to get confusion in his mind or her mind. These African leaders. So, now, let me go to the summit in Addis Ababa. You see, they have gathered. They had what they call durable, mechanism for getting solution of Sudan crisis. This includes 4 ministers of external affairs of different countries. The Minister of External Affairs of Ethiopia, Minister of External Affairs of Saudi Arabia, Minister of External Affairs of United States of Arab Emirates, and then the Minister of External Affairs of of this Kenya. So this actually the summit was yesterday in Addis Ababa, and they did not just stop there. So first and foremost, the platform in Jeddah, Saudi Arabia, they were actually trying harder to end the conflict in Sudan, but they failed. So African leaders have come up with the initiative so that in order for them to end the conflict in Sudan, they have come with the initiative. In first place, it was being there in Djibouti. Then yesterday it was in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia. So they have gathered and they have come up with two, thoughts and two proposals. One is to connect these two guys, Abdel Fattah al-Burhan, the president of Sudan, and the Commander of Rapid Support Forces, Himiti. They want them to gather to meet in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia, or in Nairobi. This was the one, proposal. And then secondly is Khartoum to be disarmed place. And this proposal actually, I'm laughing, because how comes Khartoum, this huge, capital city of Sudan, to be disarmed? And yet the battle is ongoing, seriously. They're fighting these guys seriously, and you want them to be disarmed place? Where do you want them to go? So this is a very fundamental question for those who are gathering in Addis Ababa should answer this. You said Khartoum should be disarmed place, so where do you want them to go? I must ask this question in first place. And then the second is to bring these guys in one table, either there in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia, or in Nairobi. So, and also here, there is a very crucial question I have to ask. Abdel Fattah al-Burhan is there, we know. Even yesterday, he was there. He talked yesterday. What about this guy called Himiti? Where is he? Huge question. You want them to meet, right? You want these two guys to meet, to discuss, in order for them to get a solution to end the conflict, right? So where is this guy Himiti? I need this answer also. Did you talk to him? Did you communicate with him? Please. Himiti, no one knows where he is. And there are some informations says that Himiti's died. And you want them to meet. Very many people, 80% of information says that Himiti died. And you want them to meet in Addis Ababa or in Nairobi. Let me tell you this. There is no any genuine willingness to end the conflict in Sudan, either from African leaders or abroad. Even US, whichever country, they don't have, a genuine willingness to end the conflict. So if you are there gathering and coming up with this such a, swords of ending this conflict, do you really want to end this conflict, or do you want to intensify it? How comes you say Khartoum should be disarmed? Which logic is that? These guys are coming from several different countries. They want to take your place. Who can allow this to happen in his or her country? Which country can allow this to happen? All this kind of disruption. People are panic. No food, no water, no movement. You cannot move from your house to shop to buy anything to eat. And they're attacking strategic places in Khartoum. Strategic places. They're attacking. They're destroying each and everything. They have installed each and everything in Khartoum. And you want Khartoum to be disarmed. So if someone is coming to take over my properties, how do you want me to defend myself if I'm disarmed? That's unimaginable. You cannot imagine this. Anyway, as I've said, there is no any genuine willingness to end this conflict. Whoever is trying to be a mediator is still intensifying the problem in Sudan. It still intensifies. You are maximizing it. If you are coming with such this meaningless, swords, or if you want to, connect these two guys, you want them to meet. How they can meet, yet they are enemies? How do you think Al-Burhan and Hemeti can meet in one place? Your mind can accept that. And how do you want to also Khartoum to be disarmed? Where do you want them to go? You want them to go back to Darfur, right? You want them to go there and kill us, right? What is it, please, African people, African leaders? For us, we respect you. More especially a leader of Kenya, William Ruto. I was thinking is going to be the silver line of African crisis. Because the way he talks, the way he loves Africa. But why this time you are not clear? And even Sudanese army, they dismissed what they are doing there. Previously, you have gathered in Djibouti, Sudanese army dismissed what you have done there. And then recently, of yesterday, also Sudanese army rejected what you have done. For me, I want you as your African people, because we need your solution. There is a slogan that says we need African solution to African problems. I completely agree with this slogan. But if you want to please end this problem, first and foremost, if you are a mediator, what is the role of you to be a mediator? Do you know what even mediations mean? So if you want to be a mediator to end such a problem, you should actually come and listen from these two sides. After listening, after you're well informed, then you decide, you compromise. If you get one side, if you get one side is wrong and the other side is right, so whom are you going to support? You are going to support the right person. Who started the war? Who shot the first bullet in Sudan? It's these rapid support forces. Everyone knows them. They're bleedy. They're killers. And even last time I've said, these are not people. They just have the appearance of human being, but they are not, in actual sense, they are not people. How comes you come, you comes into a country from different, countries, they gather from several different, 10 countries. I can name them, but there is no need for me to name them. But they are from several 10 countries. They are coming to occupy Sudan, to conquer Sudan, to take it over. And yet you are there, you cannot give, the full, solutions to current conflict in Sudan. What do you mean by these guys to meet? What is the benefit of them to meet? And even US tried to be mediator, with the help of Saudi Arabia, but they have done nothing. What they were doing from these ceasefires, it was actually to empower these rapid support forces, as we have all seen. When Sudanese army is about, to defeat these rapid support forces, then they should come and make ceasefire for 3 days, 1 week, 2 days. They empower the other side. The colonization. I call them the colonizers. They come to colonize Sudan, but that is not going to happen. All of us, you see, regardless of what Sudanese army have done for us, but we're still supporting Sudanese army. Why? Because, you see, Sudanese army is our enemy, right? But we're still supporting Sudanese army because we want all of us, to work in unison to defeat these rapid support forces. This is the aim of the current war in Sudan. Our aim is to defeat them, to beat them, to finish them until one soldier of these rapid support forces shouldn't remain in Sudan. And for African leaders, more especially the African, the neighboring countries, please, one thing you should be aware of: these guys of rapid support forces, if they occupy Sudan, they are going to occupy all these neighboring countries of Sudan. All this, I swear, they are going to occupy, because these people, they have a very huge support from different countries. This is not only these rapid support forces, this is small company. It is not. It is not. Even US supports them. Why I'm saying that? Because of the ceasefires they have been providing in Jeddah, in Saudi Arabia. Those ceasefires, they were actually kind of consequences. These people are coming to take our land, and you are there discussing to get a proper way. As we have said, and we still remain saying this. Me personally, I have said we do not need political solution for the current crisis in Sudan. We need a military decisiveness. Period. We do not need any political solutions. If you gather in Addis Ababa, if you gather where, that should not concern us. If you said we need African solution for African problems, why are you not providing this, solution as your African people? These 55 countries, you do not have a clear vision to end this conflict in Sudan. Why are you including people from US, people from where? 18 countries have included that summit of yesterday. You see, very much, even the guy called Abdullah Hamdok, this Sudanese, he's a troika. He deceived us. He wants to destroy Sudan. Whoever is dealing with these politicians of Sudan, I do not agree with you. If you really want to end the conflict, come up and condemn these guys of Rapid Support Forces that they are actually criminals and they do things against humanity. How many people have migrated to Chad? My own people. Until now, I don't know who is died and who is alive from my own family. I do not know. That's why I'm talking loudly, because I know I'm oppressed. I've been oppressed for over 100 years, and until this time, I'm still oppressed. The reason why I'm saying the conflict is intensifying into dangerous labor is because this Sudanese army want to chase these people from Khartoum to take them to Darfur, and then they start killing us there in Darfur. They conquer Darfur. After they conquer, they get external help to come and say these people have really suffered. Let me just help these people to empower them. They want to empower these guys. I'm telling you, this is huge conspiracy. I'm saying this, and I can challenge whoever in this planet can tell me this is not a broader conspiracy. Just come and persuade me this is not a huge conspiracy. What is this nonsense? We are tired of this. We need military decisiveness. We do not need any political solution for Sudan's crisis currently. Sudanese army has the capacity to end this conflict. And the only reason the conflict is taking long is because of Al-Burhan. Because Al-Burhan supporting these guys of Rapid Support Forces. Because Al-Burhan look at these Rapid Support Forces these Rapid Support Forces, they are better than Darfurian people. Because he thinks himself is an Arab. He want to bring this Arab to stay. This Arab, they are not original Arab, by the way. And for these people of Al-Burhan, they think they are original Arab. So they want to take these who are not original to Darfur, and for them to stay in center. This is all about the conflict in Sudan. Whoever has this kind of information, please go and look for this information before you take any decision. The current conflict in Sudan, the only person who is suffering is Darfurian people. Darfurian, we are the one who are suffering because of this conflict. Because we have two enemies now. Abdul Fattah al-Burhan himself is our enemy, and Rapid Support Forces, they are also our enemy. They have killed 5,000 of my people, 5,000 of them, 5,000 within 2 months. 8,000 they are injured. 2 million have been migrated to Chad. And you are there, African people. We are your people. You don't want to come and speak loudly about Darfurian. Every day we are dying. I've never seen these African, leaders who are gathering have talked about Al Jineina. Why all this? Are we all victims? Please, African leaders, you are the only people who can get solution for us. But if you want to get solution for us, you must speak loudly. You must condemn these Rapid Support Forces. you must condemn them that they are doing things against humanity. Thanks a lot. We meet further.